Peace to Brother Red and Blue Pill. I was watching Red Pill's feedback on the recent passing of our hip hop legend DMX, and he was on 125th in Harlem. He was interviewing people about how they felt about DMX. And my story is, I was a mega fan. I didn't take the death easy. It took me a couple days to really find the words to kind of give to the people as far as what I want the people to take away from this whole thing. So the first time I saw DMX when I became a fan was at the Cash Money Rough Riders tour. And I was a rebellious teenage girl and fell in love with DMX as a performer. And him and Wayne actually were the two individuals that stuck out the most to me because they were just, their energy was incredible. Their stage performance was incredible. And what I loved so much about DMX was him as a believer. And so even as a grown woman, when I grew into adulthood, I couldn't listen to the music that I used to listen to as much because my maturity level had changed. My state of mind and consciousness had changed. But I always recognized that he was a believer, and whenever I had a chance to see him, I went to go see him at the shows. And my favorite part was always his prayer. And I've been a fan since It's Dark and Hell is Hot. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm not trying to go on the nostalgia train or whatever, but I can think of just some great times in Philly where Eve and Drag On and Swiss Beats and DMX were like every other song on the radio. Like that pinpoints a very specific time of my life. And I just think of like the summertime in Philadelphia and just listening to like nonstop Rough Riders, nonstop DMX, nonstop Eve, and how that really like was really a time capsule of my life. But anyways, I think that rather than us mourning his death in vain, we need to really look at this from a different point of view. Like Blue and Red say, and I really agree with what the Twin Pills say, you know, we come together as a community off trauma because it's something that we can all relate to. But when it's time for a jubilee, a celebration, it's not that same energy, right? Everybody wants to be gathering around, you know, when someone passes away and pain and whatnot, but when someone hits the lotto, it's not that same energy. And so one point that I really wanted to make is the fact that we are bystanders often to what they do to our legends. And like Chappelle said, you know, like Michael said, like these men are very strong men. And often we see a cry for help before it even comes to the end. And DMX representing somewhat of, you know, a prototype of like an alpha male to some degree, you know, a man who refused to wear skinny jeans, I'll put it that way. As trends changed, he stayed the same. He had a target on his back because the industry said, we want rap music to go in a certain direction. And he wasn't down with the direction that the industry was going in. Despite his incredible talent, they wanted to play him like he was just some crackhead. And it's like, you have to really consider what are the conditions that are tormenting these people, our stars, our legends. Whitney, Michael, Prince. We can even bring it to some rock and roll. Jimmy, Kurt Cobain. These men are strong. These men were strong men. You can't get to that level and not be strong. You can't get to that level and not have a certain mentality. Like Dave said, these men are strong. These are strong people. What are the conditions that they're being placed under? Now, okay, we can acknowledge that, right? There's something going on. There's something going on that we're not entirely aware of, right? But here's the thing. We can't let DMX die in vain. there has to be personal responsibility on the silent third party's end for taking out our legends, for the conditions that they are imposing on people to make them want to escape. And let's take it one step further, right? Because they always want to say, well, you know, poor people, well, it's our tax-paying dollars. You hear that, like a common, like these elitists love to say, our tax-paying dollars. But guess what? The same people that were following DMX nonstop, like the same law enforcement slash paparazzi that follows people day and night, like don't sleep, to watch people getting pulled over in Arizona. Is that a helicopter flying above me? Every time I make a... Why am I being followed? Why am I being watched? Why am I being surveilled? Just because I have tremendous talent? But they want to talk about poor people and tax-paying dollars, right? Those same tax-paying dollars, I want you to understand, those same tax-paying dollars, the feds that watch our legends and drive our legends mad, it's your tax-paying dollars that have the CIA, the FBI, law enforcement, who's connected to the industry, the silent third party. Their payroll comes from your tax-paying dollars. So we're not letting DMX die in vain. There has to be accountability of these silent third-party elitists that are getting paid from your tax-paying dollars. Who are creating conditions, well aware of people's trauma and people's backgrounds, and they're creating conditions to trigger them constantly, relentlessly, fucking with people. And then skating out of it when someone has an overdose, takes themselves out. They pretend like they know nothing about it, like they had no part in it. These are very sinister people. These are very wicked people. And it's time for them to be held responsible. Another point that I want to make as far as not letting DMX die in vain. And Red Pill raised a great point that, yes, he was dealing with an addiction, but he wasn't rapping about it. He wasn't glorifying it. Whereas you have some rappers who don't do drugs, who glorify drugs. But when we're on the topic of drugs, in this sick society that they've created that make people want to escape from their lives, you've got these elitists. These turn their nose up in the air elitists think that they're better than people for whatever reason. God knows why. They're not that intelligent. They don't work alone. You'd be surprised. It's like one person, like a DMX. You'd be surprised how many people were like on him. It's like, time out. How do you even have balls? Like, how do you have big balls when it's like 50 of you against one person? Like, you got the nerve to open your mouth and talk, like big talk? Like you're not a coward? They can't function without popping pills. They're the biggest addicts. These elitists talking about, I hate poor people. Got the nerves to turn their nose up calling people junkies when they're junkies. They think that just because somebody wrote a prescription for it makes them not. No, you're a junkie. You're an addict. You got to pop a pill for this, pop a pill for that. You're incapable of handling your emotions, coping with yourself, but got the nerves to talk about somebody else calling them a junkie. How hypocritical are you? I'm tired of them preying on the poor. I'm tired of them preying on real artists. I'm tired of them preying on artists. We cannot let DMX's death be in vain. It is imperative that these people are held accountable. They will not literally get away with murder. They need to be held as accomplices. Rest in power to DMX.